Total War Warhammer 3's launch is just around the corner, and there are a lot of different options for campaigns in the base game across Cathay, Demons, Ogres, and Kislev. Altogether, you're looking at 11 legendary lords, and with that is quite the decision of which campaign you want to play. In this video series, I'll be giving you a spoiler-free campaign overview to help you decide if it's the right campaign for you. Each campaign will play differently with an emphasis on particular playstyle, unit choice, or mechanic. So our first video in this series that we'll be running all the way up to launch is the new Build Your Own Lord in the Daemon Prince of the Legions of Chaos. You'll be using all the various new Chaos Demon units as well as some varying demon mechanics to spice up your playthrough. You'll be able to find the rest of these videos as they're made linked in the playlist in the upper right corner and at the end of this video. And this is the first time or your first time on my channel. The way I do these videos is by giving you a no spoiler breakdown. I'll boot the game up on turn 1 of the campaign. I'll explain the mechanics of the character in question, show you their skills, quickly show off their research tree, and then give you an overall idea of what the campaign plays like. Keep in mind, this is not a guide, but a quick campaign overview to help you decide which campaign to play when Total War Warhammer 3 launches. Feel free to jump ahead to any part of the video that interests you the most using the chapters denoted in the timeline and the description. Before we get started, if you have not yet pre-ordered Warhammer 3 and intend on buying the game, you can support the channel by using the link to my Nexus Store. Nexus provides Steam keys directly from the developer, and I get a cut of every sale, which helps keep the channel alive. Lastly, if you end up enjoying the content, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe. I cannot tell you how much it helps out. But let's get started on the Daemon Prince and his campaign summary in Total War Warhammer 3. Loading into the campaign map here, we have the Daemon Prince, the God Killer. Let's take a look at some of his mechanics. So one thing I do want to point out is that this is an early access build of the game, so some numbers might change, but overall everything is going to be the same once we hit launch. So the big thing that we want to take a look at here is his faction effects. So he has God Killer, which is going to give him access to all demon units via Daemonic Glory. He also gets an ability called Reign of Chaos, inflicting damage with friendly lords in battle. Will unlock random army abilities. We'll be showing that off. But he also has some climates that are suitable for him: Frozen, Wasteland, Chaotic Wasteland, Temperate, and Temperate Island, as well as Savannah. And Unpleasants are going to be Magical Forest, Mountain, and Jungle. And then Uninhabitable are Ocean and Desert, because we both know that demons hate sand. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of his big mechanics. And the first one is going to be Daemonic Glory. So the way that this works is that it is essentially all these body parts that you're going to build and swap out and make your champion of chaos here in any light that you so wish. You'll see over here on the left, we've got 5 little icons. That's going to be Undivided, Khorne, Nurgle, Slaanesh, and then Tzeentch Glory. And you build this glory by killing enemy factions, by destroying settlements and then dedicating them to a specific god, by making buildings, commandments. There's certain events, there's passive gain you can get from certain buildings, from certain items. There are a ton of ways to get Daemonic Glory. You will not be in short supply of it, trust me. But as you'll notice too, that there are a number of icons across this entire map. And the way that this works is the top is Undivided. And if you don't know about Warhammer lore, you are basically representing all the gods, quote unquote, equally versus specifically going to one of the 4 of the ruinous powers. And as you progress through the Undivided category, you're pretty much just going to unlock body parts. Now, in previous Total War Warhammer campaigns, you have a special line of skills that'll actually increase your character's stats. That is actually all done for the Daemon Prince through his body parts, through his armor pieces, through his weapons that he unlocks. And you'll notice that each one of these has a number at the bottom that'll give the corresponding glory requirement for that piece, and then you'll get the stats accompanying that piece. So this will give us Demonic Onslaught, melee attack, and melee defense +5. But some of these also have another little icon. So it is a set item, very much like a typical ARPG. You can put together the Doom Shield, Trophied Legs, and Doom Sword to have the Armaments of Chaos, which will then grant your army, this lord in specific obviously, all glory gained +8%, recruitment rank +2, and then melee attack +4. So these sets are a cool way to kind of pick and choose how you want to do things. The nice thing too is you've got so many options for body part locations, and we'll jump into a different menu in a second to show that off, that you can have multiple sets active at one time. So it's pretty cool that you can have maybe an undivided set and then maybe a Khorne set, because this is right arm, left arm, and legs, versus this one being legs, offhand, and hand weapon. Okay, well, maybe you can't stack that one, all right? Maybe it's this one you can stack. Yeah, this is left hand. Okay, well, maybe not that one either, but still, you can stack some of them, I promise you. Here, no, you can't do that one either. This one? Okay, you can't do that one either, but some you can stack. Regardless, though, as you progress down undivided, you'll get into this final portion. So every single one is going to be different here. So for the undivided section, it's pretty romantic. You get access to every single pretty big badass thing. You're going to get access over here to all the different soul grinders of all the different gods. You'll get access to their greater demons like the Bloodthirster, the Great Unclean One, the Keeper of Secrets, and then the Lord of Change. So that's kind of what makes Undivided different from the mono gods, which we're going to go into in a little bit because they have a whole different projection or trajectory here. And then you get a little cool weapon at the very end. And each one of these will have a little button at certain points that will give certain benefits. So now that we'll jump into the mono gods to talk about that. So as you see here, you see these little icons that represent units. This is the Chaos Warhounds if you're going down Khorne, or the Fleshhounds of Khorne. All the way down here, we get the Exalted Bloodletters of Khorne. So as you gain glory for Khorne, you not only unlock body parts, but you now unlock the respective god's unit. And depending on where you are at in this glory spree or chain, you'll unlock abilities. So every so often you'll get offerings or gifts. So this, for example, will give us corruption and leadership. This will give us the hero recruitment for Blood Reapers, which is the Khorne specific hero. And this is mirrored down the way here, right? You can see for Nurgle, this is going to give us the Plague Ridden. For Slaanesh, this is going to give us the Allure S. And then for Tzeentch, this is going to grant us the Iridescent Horror. Now, this is just going to be pretty much mirrored down each and every single god, just their respective benefits here. Where it is really spicy is in this category. So this grants you the bloodletting feature for all of your armies. And this grants you the switchable plagues feature for all of your armies. This is going to give you seduce units feature for all of your armies. And then lastly, the teleport stance for your armies. So this gets you the ability that, well, one of the mechanics that playing that monogod faction would grant you. Say, for example, this one, the switchable plagues. You'll have 4 plagues that you can swap around as a Daemon Prince of Nurgle that you can then try to infect other settlements, other characters, other legendary lords with. Or this one down here for the seduce units. You can seduce units from the opposing team in the pre-battle phase, as Slaanesh can do. Or this is the teleport stance, which is essentially just moving around the map in the same way that you could say the underway. So all these then correlate to this button here. So here's the difference between the undivided one. The undivided one won't lock anything, versus the Khorne one here, or any other god for that example, will say all other glory gain will be halted, and you'll lose diplomatic relation with his chief enemy, Slaanesh, and then the other 2 gods, Nurgle and Tzeentch. Same thing here for Nurgle, same thing here for Slaanesh, and same thing here for Tzeentch. So you have to kind of really choose, once you get to this point, how you want to progress. If you want to progress, you don't have to jump into that button, right? And there's always these little things throughout the way that are going to give you bonuses to the specific units or the play style that matches that god. So again, for example, Nurgle are going to have a lot of benefits here for like construction bonuses. Right here, is it? Yeah, so this is Lord Recruitment rank, construction cost reduction for all building, and hero recruitment rank for Plague Ridden. Versus Slaanesh here, this is going to help with diplomatic relations with all factions, and then the recruitment ranks for both the lords and heroes. Or this is going to help out with Winds of Magic. So basically, going down one of these lines is going to grant you access to that faction's quote-unquote emphasis, as well as then barring you from the other ones once you hit this point. And you'll get access then to of course, stuff like Skull Crushers of Khorne, Soul Grinder, Bloodthirster, and special armament. So do keep all those things in mind, because you will be getting special armament that will reflect that god. Now we press character details here, and you can see how all those armaments kind of come into your character. Right now we don't have any activated because this is turn 1, but Each one of these, okay, this is the Mark of Chaos is going to give us melee defense and ward save. Each one of these, and this will fill up quickly, trust me. I think one of the characters we did on stream was like level, it was like turn 20, and each one of these has like, I think almost 5 or 6 options to choose from. So you'll have plenty to go through very fast, but you'll find that the fun thing about this is you're really building a character that you want in the specific focus that you want for your Chaos Demon campaign. Moving into our next subject, we've got skills and tech. Now, I've put this together in the same category. For every other lord, we would be going over character skills, and then we would be going over research tree. But for the Daemon Prince, the research tree and tech the research tree and skills are kind of smashed together. Because as you can see, I'm pressing details, going to skills. So as you get levels, you would put them into this whole entire slider, and as it goes across, you see it's very large. And it applies pretty much to every god in which you want to focus, for the exception of Undivided. If you're thinking this as a conventional Total War Warhammer skill tree, Undivided is like the blue tree. So you get corruption, growth, control, diplomatic relation bonuses. See, these are not conventional skills. These are things that would typically be applied to a tech. Then you're going to be going into Route Marcher, which is again a conventional blue, then a Lightning Strike, a conventional blue, but then you're going to jump into a bunch of upkeep reduction for the Lord's army, so on and so forth. And then we jump into stuff for Khorne. Now, this is where things start to really get focused on specific units and specific technologies and specific portions of your campaign. So you're going to be looking at stuff like sacking settlements, armor for specific units of Khorne. I guess I'll talk about that right now. So there's another thing called Reign of Chaos, which we'll go into when we jump onto the battle map. But there is a technology for each and every respective god, what that will increase the chance of that god's boon coming up when you press the button. And again, that might sound a little like weird and innocuous, but once we jump into the battle map, I'll show you what that really means and what that really does. So you'll see that these will all give you the respective bonuses, but you'll also get upkeep reduction for the respective units, and you'll get your charge bonuses, your melee attack bonuses, more bonuses towards your Reign of Chaos, and again, just depends on what you're doing here. So armor for Great Unclean Ones, weapon strength for Keeper of Secrets, barrier for Zinj Soul Grinder units, so on and so forth. And a lot of other technologies are kind of linked here into the Demonic Glory thing. So you are not using a conventional technology tree at all. You're going to be pulling a lot of benefits from stuff within this tree in conjunction with your skills. So it is kind of weird, but it's pretty interesting at the same time that this guy is going to be the engine for a lot of buffs to this particular army. And then your Demonic Glory will buff the entire faction, right? Like you can see here, this is AP, charge bonus, physical resistance, and attribute for all those Slaanesh units, and it doesn't say Lord's Army in parenthetical notations. So this is the skills and tech here for your Daemon Prince. So moving into Chaos Glory, we talked a little bit about that when we looked at this Demonic Glory menu, right? But let's go ahead and just do this really quick battle, and we'll just press auto resolve on it. And just go ahead and do that. We then can dedicate the kind of offer it as a sacrifice to specific factions, right? And that's big because that's going to grant us a specific amount of glory. You can see up top here, we did that to Undivided. That gave us some Undivided glory. You're going to get tons of missions, which are going to increase your glory as well. Let's go ahead and take this keep too. And now we get to choose how we want to settle this location and which god we are going to dedicate it to. This is important because this will give us undivided dedicate or glory no matter what. Let's just go ahead and press Khorne. This will dedicate this to Khorne. Now, why that is so specific or what that really does here is, let's bring up the building browser. So it will change the basic and advanced and infrastructure buildings for this faction. I'm sorry, for this location. The basic and advanced military buildings will be different because they will be focusing on the units of said god right here. So this is how we're going to be getting the Chaos Warriors of Khorne. There's the Fleshhounds of Khorne, all the way up to Skull Crushers and Soul Grinders. But you'll notice in the infrastructure building, even though these icons represent, say, Khorne, They're for the most part going to be the same regardless of who you choose to put as the dedication. It'll just swap out certain things like recruitment cost reduction for Khorne units that would instead say Slaanesh units or Nurgle or what have you. Income generator is going to be the same here. This will be different, of course, because this will be based off of the specific god you dedicate this to, because Khorne Glory or Khorne Corruption would swap out for that god in specific, or the hero capacity for that god in specific. And again, you'll notice that just all these buildings are generic infrastructure buildings with a little bit of a theme to who you dedicate to. So I wanted to go over that because it is important to get an idea for how you want to build out your settlements when it comes to your glory and your corruption dedication, because that is our next subject, is corruption. So to show off corruption, I've jumped ahead here, but don't worry, I've hidden everything so you won't see anything. Well, no spoilers here. So let's go ahead and just select this building, and you can see corruption. And right now I focused my guy on Nurgle, so you can see 100 chaos corruption gives me attrition for non-chaos worshipping armies, growth plus 15, and all other types of corruption minus 5. So it is harder to maintain anything other than the main chief corruption you want to focus on. And you can see across this whole province, I've focused it and dedicated it entirely to Nurgle. So those things you have to keep in mind, because each one of these is going to give you a different benefit. As you can see, because there's no corruption present, it's not going to give me any benefit. The Daemon Prince is the only character, so Chaos Undivided will give me control, is the only character that will benefit from having a ton of different corruption in their lands, versus the other mono gods will try to focus on a specific corruption for, obviously, for campaign mechanics, but also because that specific corruption will grant them benefits. And you can even kind of you can even kind of cater some of this stuff by favoring a specific god as part of your commandment system for the Daemon Prince. So one of the last things I want to jump into here before we go over a general campaign, kind of like, hey, here's where we are on the map and everything, is the gift system on the combat screen. So let's jump into one of those. Jumping into a battle, we have got a fancy gauge on the right side that will give us our glory points, and those glory points that are then associated with our reign of chaos. Remember, we saw that it said, hey, you can increase the percentage chance of receiving a gift from a specific god. And you can see right here that this is how this breaks out. So you've got 25% chance, so it's a pretty equal share at the very beginning of getting a gift from one of these respective gods once you reach 100 glory. Once you reach 100 glory, this little thing turns into like a red mist or a blue or a purple mist. It's a mist. You press a button, and then one of these four becomes activatable for you. The Horn of Khorne, an AoE melee attack buff, Curse of the Slug for Nurgle, Speed debuff and Chain Hex, Narcissism for Slaanesh that inflicts cannot move, and then Arcane Surge, which would give you a Winds of Magic and a casting or a spell recycle buff. You just simply use those, and as you progress through your glory meter, you can affect which of these has a higher % chance of appearing for you. You want to be more of a spellcaster, you're jumping down the Tzeentch line, then the Arcane Surge option is going to be even better. This will progress up to a second and a third different spell or a different gift, but I didn't want to spoil those for you. But that is how the overall Reign of Chaos works, in case you see it on the glory or in the skill tree or anywhere else. That is where it kind of comes together. So that covers all of our base campaign mechanics and all the little tiny nuance of the Chaos Daemon Prince. So the real question here is this campaign for you? What kind of style of campaign are you going to be playing here? And it's important to note that all the monogod Chaos Demon factions have a very particular play style. But the interesting one about the Chaos Demon is that you can really pick and choose how you want to play that specific Chaos Demon style, right? Do you want to jump into the Demonic Glory and go heavily into the Slaanesh things and have more fast attack style army? Or do you want to go really heavy into Tzeentch and take advantage of being able to teleport across the map, or use the barrier function, or be a really big spellcaster, or be Khorne and just reap through people, or Nurgle and be super defensive and tanky. It really is up to you. And the cool thing too is you can kind of be a hybrid of those things. You can be this amalgamation of Undivided and Nurgle, or Nurgle and Slaanesh. You can mix and match this as much as you want, which truly makes this a very fun build your own campaign in a way that is very unique for Total War Warhammer. You're not kind of harangued by a very specific playstyle. You can really choose what you want to do. In addition to that, you're pulling from the units of all 4 gods too, which makes it even more interesting. Now, one thing I will say is your starting location on the map here in this kind of portion of Norska, right, whereas it kind of tendrils out, does make for a very particularly hard campaign, in the sense that you will be beset by a lot of the what is called Order Tide, right? All the people from the old world, all the Empire, Wood Elves on occasion. You'll just have to deal with a lot of aggression from them. You'll also have to deal with aggression from Norskins around you, unless you deal with their overall diplomatic issues with them. So as you progress through this campaign, you'll find that yes, it is fun to have the advantage to dip into each and every one of the Chaos Gods, but it is also a challenge that if you spread yourself too thin in your focus, you won't have the heavier, harder hitting units to really repel the enemies at your gate, which are going to be in abundance. Heck, my words just escaped me right there. So hopefully this gives you a better idea here of how the Daemon Prince plays, how he is really that kind of build your own adventure in a way that is completely unheard of. But one thing I will say, and will kind of warn you of, yes, you do borrow some mechanics from each of the mono god factions, but you do not get all of the mechanics. So the things that make Khorne particularly good, or Tzeentch particularly good, you don't get all of them. You'll get maybe 1 or 2 of the 3 or 4 total mechanics. So please bear those things in mind, as you are not going to be the ultimate beater of worlds that Skarbrand is, which we're going to go into tomorrow, but you still will be a very strong contender for Khorne's favor. So overall, guys, I hope, again, like I said, this helps you out in your decision of which campaign to play. If you have any questions, you want to know more about the Chaos Daemon Prince campaign, go ahead and let me know in the comments section below. But as always, thank you so much for watching here today. Have a good one, and take care.